Before we begin, thank you very much to Kongu992 for joining the Patreon campaign. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you very much for pitching in and helping out the channel to keep going and to keep the free content coming every single day. If you want to pitch in, if you want to make sure I can continue to do this for everybody, please consider using that Patreon link in the description below, even if it's just $1 or $2 a month. Helps out a lot around here, and you have no idea how much it's helping right now. But that is beside the point. We need to start discussing the 13 Primes, specifically their toys, because now, officially, all 13 Primes have brand new modern figures. So that means it is time to look all of them over and see how they all turned out. I just recently got in the final of the 13, Lege Maximo, so you'll figure out where he ended up on this list. Now, while the 13 is technically complete, all 13 of the Primes do have modern, brand new, fresh figures. There are a couple of caveats to this before we begin. For instance, we saw this photo with the new Sentinel Prime release. Now, Sentinel is not part of the 13. He is not a concern here. What is more interesting, however, is the fact that the Vector Prime sword shown in this stock photo is not the one that came with the Legacy United figure that is currently a stand-in in the 13. That is leading to speculation that we're going to get a brand new mold Vector Prime. We do know there is a Vector Prime on the way, but I think prior to this, we kind of just assumed it would be a repaint of the previous figure, because why would they make a brand new Vector Prime 2 years after they just made one? But regardless, we're not quite sure. But for now, we have 13 Primes, so we're going to grade 13 Primes as is. This also means that we are not going to be considering the potential future Nexus Prime combiner, as we do know there are listings that seem to indicate those characters coming out by the end of the year as well. But for now, we're going to judge with what we have, because right now, you can have a complete shelf of all 13 Primes. So let's see how they turned out. And we start from the bottom, we work our way up, and we start with Micronis. Man, I was so excited for Micronis Prime when it was first revealed. I thought this was such a unique looking figure. I love that it had this pseudo pretender effect to it. The Minicon is a really good representation of RID 2015 Micronis, which is, the only one you could really do toy form. And it was a mono-wheel bike, which is a cool thing in anime and tokusatsu, but not a real thing, really. But it's a vehicle that's never been done. So, all around, this toy felt very, very exciting to me when it was first revealed. And then we found out the execution of it. Yeah, a lot of this is done with part forming. And while some of it is cool, some of it does actually work. I don't really have any issue with the Minicon other than translucent plastic. Just everything else, the execution is just lacking. I really wish more had been put into just trying to make this guy a functional transformer rather than a weaponizer. And this really is like old school weaponizer. Like, everything has to come apart and reassemble for him to transform, which really kind of takes me out of it. If you don't mind part forming, he goes up a lot higher. But for me, I felt like he had a really big promise behind him and failed to deliver on it. Yeah, it is the one I pick up the least out of any of them. Following up behind him, just a little bit better, we have the Nexus Prime. Now, we did a full review of this guy, so you know all of my thoughts and opinions on him. He just doesn't fit in. He's based on Nexus Prime from the Transformer 1 movie, and it makes sense to actually have at least one representative from that movie in there, but it just does not work. Everyone else is more crude, more organic almost. They're rounded in shape, cables exposed. They're dull, muted colors because they're supposed to look ancient. And then you have bright blue and red boy over here that's made of boxes, and he transforms into a box. Granted, he feels solid. But Transformer-wise, he really just kind of feels like a last-minute thing thrown together. And we kind of know that he was, because originally they were planning Commander size. They were originally planning a Duocon at the leader size, and then it all kind of like fell apart, and they went, oh, you know what? Voyager's the only space we got left. We'll just make some kind of Voyager, and we'll shove him into Superion's body, and maybe it'll work there. And you know what? Okay, that torso mode looks better in person, but it still does not save this. This is a boring toy. Whereas Micronis is disappointing because of expectation. This one I expected to be boring from the get-go, and yeah, it's a boring figure. At least for me. This is all subjective, keep in mind. Your list is going to be completely different from mine. Your opinion is going to be completely different. But this toy just is a huge miss for me. Moving on beyond that, we have Solus Prime, and this is again a matter of execution. I love the look of her. Don't get me wrong. I love the look of both of the modes. It is getting from one mode to another where I feel like this toy falls apart sometimes, literally. The overall look is fine. The overall look is fine. I like the futuristic truck. I like her overall look. I like the blacksmith apron-esque thing that she's got going on. Weapon looks cool. I like all that. Transforming her is not fun. That's what it comes down to. She is not a fun figure to transform. And she's simple in some parts to the point where they have to add seemingly useless transformation steps like spinning the skirt around so the paint hides in vehicle mode. Sure, okay, I guess that's necessary? Question mark. What comes down to it for me is that like there's areas of her that are just tiny little flat panels that easily fall off that are used to hide gaps in the final vehicle mode, and that's just such sloppy engineering. I think her saving grace is the fact that she is a female transformer with very little backpack. A lot more of her body is integrated into the vehicle mode, which is where I give her credit and why she's not further down the list. At this point, every toy going forward is basically fine. It is mostly just little things that keep me from really embracing them. For me, yeah, it's just the engineering style on her that just takes me out of the toy. Now, next up on the list is going to be the one that gets me in trouble, because I genuinely don't really like Star Optimus Prime. Aside from the name just being dumb, they could have done way better with the name. I just find the toy boring for the price. Like, what do you mean, $160 Titan class? And it's just a big Optimus truck that doesn't really do anything new or different from the original Convoy, from the original Star Convoy toy, minus the fact that it doesn't have the rolling motor gimmick that the original one had. I mean, you get the hot rod, you get the trailer, but still, you're basically just getting everything the original figure had. And I guess you want it to do everything the original toy did, but for the modern price, the modern size, the engineering you come to expect from Titan class, I expected more. Titans almost always have some other neat trick to them. They always have some other, they either have like a third mode that's more worthwhile than the Optimus Prime shrine that he turns into, which is still a terrible base mode, by the way. I mean, he gets by the fact that he's big and looks really good. And that's basically how he gets by being higher on this list. I don't really think he was worth the price. I wanted him to have a more complex transformation. I wanted him to have some other function besides just a truck to robot, and I didn't get it. And yeah, I mean, you're going to find more play value out of it than me in certain aspects, but from like, it just didn't hold up. I think it was not worth the price that they were asking. It should have been like a commander. Should have been a commander or even like a leader size. I didn't need him to be this big, even though canonically he is very big. Oh, well. It felt like an experiment to do a Titan class. I don't think it paid off. Moving up the list, Quintus Prime, honestly, doesn't really do anything wrong. It's just a matter of design style. So overall look, I think, is actually really, really good. I like how ancient he looks. I like all the tendrils flowing down. I do really like the paint that he has going on. It keeps up this two-tone ancient green really, really well. I mean, his accessories are rock, but it's a rock with its own storage compartment in vehicle mode. But that's also where I take the issue. You could transform this guy by folding down the head, sticking the arms up, and calling it a day, because he really barely transforms. His leg has transformation element to it, but it's not necessary. You're most likely not going to see them past the skirt of tentacles anyway, so yeah, your mileage may vary on that one. Yeah, it's just, that's the only thing that keeps me out. It's like, just, there's not a whole lot in the transformation here either, but he's forming a unique mode that I don't mind. It's not really doing anything wrong. It's just a very simple toy to transform. And sometimes there's nothing really wrong with that. I mean, he doesn't really need to do anything. And frankly, when his aesthetic is tentacles, you can't really do a whole lot transformation-wise anyway. So this is probably about as good as I could ever expect from a Quintus Prime. So I really shouldn't be shocked that it is on the simple side. Going up the list a little bit further, getting into the halfway point now, let's talk about Prima Prime, who really should have just been called Prima. This was our first introduction to the 13, and I think it was an okay one. He comes across a little bit dull, but I do think that's just because it's off-white and gray. He does have kind of a boring color aesthetic because it is based on how he looked in the Covenant of Primus. So I will accept it for what it is. But I do think it's an overall nice toy. Like, the vehicle mode is what I would expect out of the original Prime. It is vaguely truck, but it is also vaguely like modern lunar rover kind of vehicle. And it works. It actually does work. I believe it is an ancient vehicle. And I do like the overall look of him. I like how they integrated. This is like one of those where you can really see the mix between, here's the Covenant design, and here is the G1 animation character that we have dubbed Prima. You can especially see that in the head. I'm still hoping for a cartoon accurate repaint someday. But no, I don't think this one does anything terribly wrong. I do like this one overall. I do think it's middle of the road for the Primes, which is why he's at this point in the list. But I do like what he does overall. Now, I'm going to defend a toy that a lot of people are down on, but hey, I don't think it does as bad a job as people say. I kind of like that new Vector Prime. I do. I mean, it does what he's supposed to do. Like, he looks like Vector in the robot mode. Is he missing the gears? Yes. Do I wish they had retooled those cables from Jaxus out of his legs? Yes. But overall, it is still carrying the ancient aesthetic. It is doing it properly this time. Hasbro did white and brown for the original toy. Now they have it correct. You have off-white and the wine red color. You have the proper, like, satellite paint. I'm actually surprised they put that much effort into the paint in the middle. And overall, yeah, he does carry the look of Vector Prime pretty well. I know this toy comes across as simple for a lot of people, which is why you're going to be down on it. And to that, I would say, have you played with the original Vector Prime? That is a beautiful toy that is extraordinarily simple. And, like, no exaggeration to that. It is just a very, very simple toy. And this one kind of follows suit. This is kind of in the exact same ballpark, really. So, is what it is. I do like this toy a lot more than I think some people do. And I know there's likely going to be a new Vector Prime on the way. Whether or not it falls into the same spot of this list, debatable, but honestly, I don't think it's going to fall very far. I don't think it's going to really change the list, because as long as it's still Vector Prime, it's probably going to still fall into that same vein of, yeah, it's kind of simple, but it's doing what it's supposed to do. And speaking of, we move on to Alpha Trion. Alpha Trion, I do really like as a figure, though he does do basically what I kind of expected when he was first announced, or when we first realized that we were going to be getting a new Alpha Trion. And that is, he's just going to be like a take on his usual sweep repaint, right? And that's exactly what he is. Like, if you retool this even a little bit, this could be released as a Scourge toy. I do like the overall look, though. I like that they went with a younger A3 like War Dawn like a look for him. I do like that he has like the removable symbol that A3 used. That's a cool little touch. He's probably got one. He probably does have my favorite of any of the relics, like a functioning book accessory that has hidden messages in it with a quill accessory. Okay, that's kind of neat. And it's nice to see a transformer that doesn't just have a bunch of swords and guns for accessories. You know, like Alpha Trion is a historian. He's the elder of the Transformers. He really shouldn't be wielding a blaster. You know, pen mightier than the sword in this situation. So I do like him overall. It's nice that Alpha Trion, after years of just like being retooled from sweeps and Beast Machine Snarl that one time for some reason. It's just nice to see him getting his own mold. It isn't meant to be anything else but him. Very, very nice. Now is when we start talking about the bigger boys, and this is where we're going to get into Lege Maximo. So here's my take on Lege Maximo. The toy itself is pretty good. It is still a big flying avocado in vehicle mode. The transformation's fine. Nothing like incredibly thrilling behind it, but it's satisfying enough. I would dock him a few points because of the way his shoulders are. So the shoulders are soft plastic, and they peg into little struts, essentially, that allow them to lift up and down. But they do not rotate, meaning raising his arms up too far can make the shoulder guards pop off, and I do not like that. It actually has quite a bit of soft plastic, but when he's got that many jagged spikes on him, I kind of understand why. The overall look is fine. I like how all the tentacles are painted. There is a lot of paint on the toy overall. I'm very happy that the Lege darts have an actual launcher to them, because they would look incredibly lame if he just had 3 little dart accessories. I genuinely think Lege got the shortest end of the stick when it came to relics, because the Lege darts just sound lame every time I hear about them. But it's a really creepy vehicle mode. It's a really creepy robot. I do like it overall. I think it's the weakest of the leaders, but hey, the leaders are pretty strong in this line, so I think that's still worth credit. And speaking of, here's Onyx. I absolutely love the look of Onyx Prime. Like, I mean, he gets the ancient aesthetic across, but he also looks like this wild beast, like this like primordial hunter. It works really, really well. I like it a lot. And while his default like dragon mode is a little bit lame, it's a little bit simple and boring. You know, it doesn't do a whole lot of shape changing there. It's the variety on this toy that really makes me love it. So you do have the Centaur mode, which is really, really cool to have. So they didn't have to split the difference between which version he's depicted as. We got them both, which is a great little thing to do. You don't like the typical 4-legged dragon? You can have a 6-legged dragon. Don't want the spear? You can rearrange parts and make a bow weapon. I love options. I love variety in a single toy, and this was a great way of getting some in. This is a situation where, like, transformation-wise, he's a little bit dull, but sometimes that leads to variety. Look at 6-Shot. G1 6-Shot is incredibly simple to transform. It's just, it allows them to do a lot of different things. That simplicity allows for a different type of complexity, and Onyx kind of falls into that same degree. I do like this toy a lot, and just aesthetically hits really, really strong. I think this is absolutely one of the strongest Prime representations. Now, another toy I've seen people down on, but I still defend, because I still really like this toy. Let us talk about Alchemist. I was really shocked by how much I liked Alchemist Prime. I don't know what it is even. Might be how visually transforming he is, considering that chest and all does not appear in the vehicle mode at all. I don't know if it's just like there's some like nature to his transformation scheme that like really just like scratches an itch in my brain really nice. I think it's a nice, like well engineered and really clever figure. I like the overall look. I like the green. I like the vehicle mode. It's nice and hefty. The robot mode is very clean. Except just looks really nice all the way around. I like that he's a short, stocky guy. Like I like that we have a little bit of visual like body variety in the 13. Along with just like the weirdos. Like Quintus. Like we have some representation here, and I do like that it kind of represents not only a little bit of the cyberverse, Alchemist, but also you're getting a little bit of like the vintage G1 Macadam in there as well. It's just a nice one overall, and I do think the weapons are kind of clever. Like, okay, as little daggers, they're kind of hilariously ineffective, but I do like, I mean, the ability to combine them into the big, like, future telling lenses, like, that's really cool. Well, not future telling, but like the lens relic. I like this toy a lot better than a lot of people do, and I am not going to apologize for that. Okay, coming up to the end here, so this will take all the ambiguity out of who number 1 is. But next up, we need to talk about Amalgamus Prime. Now, this is one that I took a while to warm up to, but once I did, like, it is just a fun play pattern. Okay, do I want the frog? Do I want like the walking frog tank today? That's the official alt mode. Okay, sure, we can do that. Or let's see how many alt modes I can turn them into. Or let's see how many individual vehicles I can make all at the same time. Let me see how I can rearrange the robot mode to the way that I would prefer it. Or rearrange the canonical vehicle mode. Can I make just one big giant rolling tank? People described it as Diaclone Reboot at home. And that's pretty much how the toy feels overall. It's one I can pick up and mess with when I'm bored. And I can usually find something new to do with it. I can rearrange something to come up with something really cool looking or something really silly looking. It's a very good imagination toy. And I love the overall look. Okay, I love the different look to it. He looks like a prehistoric transformer. He looks like something that is half baked and isn't quite developed in the stasis pod just yet. 4 arms are going to win you a lot of credit for me. I wish they were a little bit more articulated, but I really, really like a 4-armed action figure in general. And Transformers has extremely few of them. I like this toy a lot. But that said, there's only one number 1, and it's the obvious one. It's been that way ever since he first came out. Megatronis is still the best of the 13. This is just an incredible toy all the way around. Like, you've got the flames if you want the Dreamwave accurate look. You've got all these like little bits of paint inside, just view inside him, like little hot spots across his body. Like, you've got the subtle hits of purple everywhere across all this gunmetal and black. And just the overall look is spot on. Like, they didn't try too hard to mix him up with any other version of Megatronis. They just went for Dreamwave Fallen because that's one of the coolest designs that we ever got. And all they really did was give him the canon from the Machinima series. That's it. That's basically it. Everything else is basically what I have been wanting out of this character for the longest time. And it does help that the vehicle mode looks really, really cool, and the transformation is really, really fun. I like this toy so much. Yeah, that was, and it's like the most obvious conclusion. It's the most obvious conclusion this video could have had, but it's true. This is still the best of the 13. Now, that is judging on the 13 we currently have. When Nexus Prime gets his combiners, however, they intend to implement like the torso frame to all that. That'll tell us a lot about where Nexus Prime really stands. And then, of course, we could be completely blown away by whatever the new Vector Prime is. I don't think we will, but there is still a little bit of room for doubt. So with all that said, let me know in the comment section below what your favorite of the 13 is now that you can have a shelf of all 13. And as always, thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.